Hello everybody, Calamity here. At least that's what I wrote on my Wikipedia article page. Today's video is going to be a little different than what I normally cover on this channel, and I wanted to do a bit of a rant. Now for context, I got a comment on one of my old videos for Star Rail. It was my first ever guide for Pure Fiction when it was just released. And in it, I did the thing where I usually do, where I give you tips and advice for how to beat the Pure Fiction mode and like what teams I use and stuff like that. And I got a comment here, and it does have some harsh language, we'll say. And I'm gonna read most of our conversation here. And before I even start, I just want to say I am not putting this person on blast to make fun of them, or for others to make fun of them, or to, or anything like that. I'm kind of showing this conversation because I want to talk about something that I've been seeing in a lot of my comments over the months, and honestly even over the years, and kind of like talk about it and like why it's not such a big deal. But let's first of all, let's actually talk about let me actually read the conversation to you. So this person came to my Pure Fiction video, and they were honestly, it was obvious they were upset about Pure Fiction. They said, that they couldn't beat it. They were complaining like that they needed to pull a bunch of AoE units, and then they're saying, but I don't really have any, and they're having trouble progressing through the waves, and then they insult Hoyoverse. And then I responded to them as soon as I saw that I got the comment. And the first thing I reminded them was that, first of all, this is an old video, so any of the tips and strats that I had in it will not apply to the latest version of Pure Fiction, because obviously it changes, right? Different cycles, different enemies, different weaknesses, and of course there's now more units that can handle this mode better. I also talk about that you don't even need to pull as many units as you think for Pure Fiction, because characters, I'm sure all of you guys know, like characters like Herta are really strong in this mode. Himiko as well. Those two characters got like the biggest glow up because of Pure Fiction. They went from like a lot of people considered them trash. They're only good for farming materials and stuff like that. But now Pure Fiction, it's like a legit, they're really good endgame mode where having both of these characters built is going to save you a tremendous amount of headache from trying to fully clear it. So that's basically what I'm trying to explain to them. I don't have our whole conversation here. You guys can probably see the read more button. I do have it on the other monitor, which I'm choosing not to show because I don't want to show this person's name. And then I also talk about, like, it's okay to be frustrated if you can't beat Pure Fiction. This is endgame content. It's supposed to challenge players who have been playing, unless you're a whale, of course, then this doesn't really apply to you. But if you're a free-to-play casual player or low spender, then this is meant for those players that have been playing for months and months, maybe even a year by now, before you even start fully clearing some of the endgame content. And then I explain, as long as you can do even like the first 2 stages, that's good enough. You're getting half the rewards already, so if you can't do stage 3, if you can't do stage 4 or whatever, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Yeah, it sucks you're missing Jades and some other rewards, but hey, you know what to work on so that you can focus on the characters that you need to work on, or focus on your teams, either building them or pulling for them in the future, and then you can come back and try Pure Fiction again. Either before it resets or when it resets again, you can always give it another go. And I was giving them character suggestions that they could pull for, like Firefly is good for this mode, Jade being another one as well, and Lingsha. And then I was also telling them that it's okay that there's one AoE focused mode, because we already have Memory of Chaos and we have Apocalyptic Shadow, and those are more single target focused because there's several bosses in those modes where Herta and Himiko aren't really going to be the best options in that mode anymore. It's going to just be like who can hit the hardest in a single turn kind of thing. So it's nice to have a little bit of a shakeup from our endgame goals every now and then. And then shortly after I responded to them, they responded back to me And they said they can't even do stage 1. And they don't have Himiko or even close to having the 300 pulls, which makes sense because once they told me they can't clear stage 1, then we obviously know that they're a brand new player to the game if you're not able to clear stage 1. This isn't even like a skill issue or anything like that because literally anybody can beat stage 1 or 2 of any endgame mode. Because you can simply over level your characters to be stronger than them, and then of course if you level up your traces, you don't even need like a full relic 4-piece set. You could just get relics with some good substats in there, and you can literally brute force, you know, the first 2 stages of Perfection. But they go on to say that they don't really have any AoE characters besides Herta and Gwynaifen, which is sort of AoE, but they have nothing to help with Dot. And to be fair, there isn't really a Dot dedicated support other than like, you know, like the already amazing supports we have like Ruan Mei or even Robin, for example. But then they say, pretty sure this week is mostly imaginary damage, which I'm not even aware of an AoE imaginary character that's not well with his current, with his random, mostly useless ability. So, first of all, you don't have to always have the one element that it's recommending. It also does recommend fire, just saying. And then they go on to say the problem is that their designs suck, and especially their bosses. They can't even beat the Divine Seed because Phase 3 is too hard with the one-shot flowers. I'm reading what they're saying here, by the way. And they can't break them fast enough even when using someone's level 80 Akron, which often gets targeted and killed anyways because it's a... I'm censoring their words here. It's a bad boss fight with dumb gimmicks for mechanics. Most of the bosses are gimmicks that are complete BS, but not to mention trying to even level a few characters including traces is near impossible because they don't give any energy to farm for anything in the first, and then their comment cuts off here. So now we have this whole different situation here of like, I thought this was just somebody that was just struggling with endgame content, but this is somebody that's just struggling in the beginning. This is super early in their Star Rail career, their journey here. They can't beat stage 1. They can't beat weekly bosses. They can't farm the traces or materials that they need to level up characters, and then of course they're complaining about the lack of energy, which that's just gonna be a thing in any gacha game, really, or most gacha games is what I should say. There's always gonna be an energy system or something to limit you from just being able to endlessly play and endlessly grind your characters, you know, all the way to max in like a day. We can obviously tell this person's really upset. So now I'm gonna say my last reply. They didn't reply to me after this, so I'm assuming they just dropped the conversation or they moved on, which is fine. But the last thing I said to them was that, like, it's clear that you're a brand new, you know, player to the game if you can't beat stage 1, and this is okay. That just means you shouldn't even be focusing on any endgame stage at all, like Pure Fiction, Memory of Chaos, or Apocalyptic Shadow. Obviously, if you can't beat stage 1, that means you need to just focus on the story stuff. Focus on main story, focus on like basic building your characters, just, you know, just enjoy the ride basically, because the beginning is really the easiest part of any gacha game. And since they don't have a lot of pulls, that means they don't have a lot of 5-star characters in their roster, which makes sense. But I just give them the advice of just play the game, play the story, do events. Like the most recent event is literally just a puzzle, right? You don't even need any characters for it. You just solve puzzles, and even then, if you're struggling on doing puzzles, you can just look up the answers for those somewhere on YouTube if you want. And then I try to make an analogy in my last comment where I say that, well, basically, it's like trying to play Genshin, and you're trying to, like, beat the Spiral Abyss in 1 month of playing. Again, unless you're a whale, this doesn't really apply to you, but if you're brand new to Genshin and you try to do Spiral Abyss or Imaginary Theater with a very limited roster and not build characters, yeah, you're gonna have a bad time. And yes, you are probably gonna struggle on even some of the earlier stages, and that's okay. That just means you need to take it back a step and just focus on building your characters, stick to the easier stuff for now, and again, main story, just very easy to go through, and same thing with Star Rail. It's very easy to go through the story. If it ends up being too difficult, there is like a world level you can change in both Genshin and in actually in Star Rail. I think it does change once you reach certain ranks or whatever. But I also talk about like how I'm able to auto battle like 90% of this game's content, which is still true, by the way. The only time I really have to like turn off auto is for certain boss fights, and like usually like the last stage of a endgame mode. Like for example, Pure Fiction, I had to manually control my teams because sometimes I'm just really bad with alt management and just focusing the wrong targets and stuff like that. So yeah, very rare for me to use manual, and I just end up autoing everything for the most part. I also tell this person that I've never spent any money on this game, because I don't know if they were complaining about people that just that think that this isn't free to play friendly. It is. And I told them, I gave them a little bit of honesty. I was telling them, if you don't have patience to play these kinds of games, then maybe this game isn't for you, and that's okay. If this game is making you this angry this early, then maybe you should find something else to play that won't make you so angry. Because again, now I'm talking to y'all because I've seen similar comments to this person. I'm not trying to put this person on blast or make fun of them or anything. But I have gotten a lot of comments over the months or even over the years of people just, whether it's Genshin or Star Rail, you guys write your essays to me, your diary entries, like, oh, you know, this is my 5th attempt at trying to complete Spiral Abyss and I still can't beat it. Hoyoverse sucks and this game is stupid and all this other stuff. And it's like, you guys have to understand, these games are a grind. They're meant to be a grind. It's not meant to be a game that you can just beat in a day or a week or even a month. For me, it actually took me 6 months, I think, to finally clear my first Memory of Chaos completely. And that was only when we had 10 stages, and then it got even harder. So yeah, it takes a while. It takes a while. And again, I'm free to play on Star Rail, but not on Genshin. Genshin even took me longer to clear Spiral Abyss for 12. It took me, I think, over a year. Because I didn't know what I was doing at the time. So yeah, it is supposed to be a struggle. It is supposed to be challenging, and it is supposed to be something that takes a while for you to eventually get to. But everybody gets there. As long as you keep playing and you're consistently building your characters to a, you know, a good build. If you do need a reference, there's several websites out there that tell you, hey, you should have this much speed for this character, this much attack, and this much, you know, crit rate, crit damage if they need it, or break effect, whatever they, you know, stats they need to invest in or focus on. As long as you actually build your characters in the right way, you will too eventually be able to conquer the endgame content. And just to show you, I'm currently playing, or this is the current version of Pure Fiction that is out right now and just came out a few days ago. You want to know how long it took me to beat stage 4 of Pure Fiction? It took me 5 hours, and I have several 5-star characters. You can see my teams right next to my head here. The only 4 stars I'm using are Herta and Gallagher. It took me 5 hours to beat it because I was too busy trying to mix and match teams and trying to figure out what am I doing wrong. Maybe I should use this character instead of this. You know, maybe this character's build isn't good enough. Maybe there's someone else I can pull for it, stuff, etc., etc. Maybe I need, you know, change builds and stuff, and nothing was working for 5 hours. Luckily, one person actually gave me some advice, and I was able to beat it. But that's not the point. The point is that still, even now, the endgame content, at least for me, is still challenging. I'm not the best, you know, Star Rail player out there. I know there's plenty of videos of people using only like 4-star characters with 4-star Lycones and them dominating endgame modes. I am not that good. Just to show you. Again, I'm not showing my score here to gloat. It's not even a good score. And I'm not even fully clearing Pure Fiction. But I am clearing it enough to get the rewards. Again, I grinded like crazy for this account. I do play this game every day, mostly for just the dailies and just spending my energy, but it is a grind, and it is going to take time. It's like an MMO. You don't just play an MMO and expect to be day one rating, you know, in the best gear possible. You gotta work up to it. And in gacha games, working up to it means saving up those jades, pulling those characters that you want to pull for, and then actually building them and min-maxing them as much as you can. You know, that includes getting them good light cones, getting their traces to max level, and getting them, again, it's really hard, I know, but good relics. I just wanted to make this video for the people that always write comments that are struggling and you start blaming the game that you can't beat. You know, what, it doesn't even have to be Star Rail. If it's Pure Fiction that you hate, or Apocalyptic Shadow, or Spiral Abyss, or Imaginarium Theater, it's like this is content designed for players that have been playing the game for a long time now, not for new players. And even if you have been playing this for a while and you still can't clear some of this endgame content, that's okay too. Sometimes people don't want to try hard and they just want to play like the story. Sometimes people just want to explore in Genshin. Some people just want to play the story of Star Rail, and that's completely fine. Just to end this video before we rant too long, it's okay to struggle. It's okay that your teams are getting messed up at the beginning. It's rough. It is rough. It's a rough game at first. And I'm just here to tell you that it does get easier and it does get better. And eventually you too can get to the point of my account. Even like my account's not even the best. But you too will get to the point where you have several 5 stars to work with a lot of their, you know, 5-star light cones and a lot of maxed out characters and stuff like that with good relics. It just takes time. And hopefully this video was somewhat helpful and maybe a little inspirational to some of y'all that are struggling in the end game for stuff. But if you just keep at it, you just keep building your characters, and I believe in you. But if you have any questions, maybe I can help you out in the comments. But also to lastly point out that dude's comment, he did say he borrowed someone's level 80 Acheron and they still died and stuff like that. I need to remind not just that person, but Acheron in general needs a specific team for her to be really good. Right here, she has an ability called the Abyss, where she requires to have 1 or 2 Nihility characters other than herself on the team, so that her damage gets increased by basically a lot. She gets 160% ultimate damage. So if you're not pairing her with Nihility characters, she's losing a lot of damage. There's very few characters that can replace them, but or if she's E2, but not a lot of people have that. So for the most Acherons out there, it is going to be quite the struggle. I wouldn't recommend Acheron unless you have Nihility for her. And with that being said, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next one. Have a good day.